Hi, this is the first indoor sit-down interview we have, hopefully for a series. We're talking to performers and people who have accomplished a lot and want to talk about it. So we're talking to Melynda Kiring, who's an author and an actor and other things, including baker.
Well, sometimes I bake.
Sometimes baker, yes, okay. Let's start with, and I'm my best James Lipton.
Oh boy.
So the first question here is, I'll start at the specific question. Do you hear voices, dialogues, monologues in your head as a writer?
Yes.
Often, just
Yes.
randomly running all the time.
Well, yes, I always keep a notebook with me to write them down. Otherwise, they go away.
But there are some that maybe aren't worthy of listening to, or not?
Oh, no. And
All.
you have to honor every single thing
Okay.
you imagine. Otherwise, it'll go to someone else.
All right, well then we're going to start talking about you as an author, not an actor.
All right.
Right? Doesn't that make the most sense from what you just said?
Absolutely.
And you're a self-published author.
Utterly self-published, yes.
To the point of generosity for your Christmas offering.
Yes, every December I give out a story. It started about 14 years ago when I was flat broke, and I needed a present for my family, and I'm going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I have a story. So I typed it out and sent it to Cybercopy in Pleasant Hill, and they gave me these lovely little books back, and there were only 20 of them because I wanted extras. And I signed them and numbered them, they were very special. And I gave them out, and I said, hey, this is a pretty good gig. So I continue that every single December. Now it's not so inexpensive.
But it's a holiday short story of some sort.
Oh, well, it's not necessarily a holiday short story. It's whatever I feel like writing during the year.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's a long sort of poem. Sometimes it's a little episode. Sometimes it's a chapter story. It all depends on what I'm writing.
So the holiday is really more the deadline than anything else.
Yes.
Okay.
I have to get them printed by Thanksgiving in order to give them out before the holidays.
Now the other books, and how many books have you self-published?
Self-published, the ones that I'm actually selling, 3.
We have them right there.
Indeed we do.
Reach for them. This is the play we will talk about.
All right, here we go. It says, the main event, so to speak, is the Tale of Delicidae.
And that's book 1.
This is book 1. This is book 2, which took me longer than it should have to complete. But now that I did, I'm so proud of this.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and
Is there going to be a book 3?
there is, yes.
Oh,
But
okay.
first, there's a book 2.5.
Ah!
Because book 3 takes place 16 years after book 2 ends, and I have to bring people up to speed. So
It's called Do the Math Production.
exactly. Actually, it's Cup of Tea Books. That is
very
my
good.
official publishing company.
But you're leading us astray there. You like coffee more than tea.
Oh, well, no, actually, I drink a fair amount
Okay.
of tea.
All right.
I love black tea with roses. That's my favorite tea. I love that stuff. It's tough to find them.
Well, these books are available.
They are, yes.
How would somebody find them?
The best way is through the website that actually is www.delicidae.com. Go to this, you will be able to buy book 1 and 2, and there's a handy-dandy link where you can buy this sweet little story. This is called The Silk Eye. Has nothing to do with this. If this is like a Thanksgiving dinner, this is a little tea cake.
Oh.
It's absolutely adorable. In fact, at my table, this is the epic side, and over here, it's the dainty little gentle fairy tale side.
And this is good for kids.
This is beautiful for kids. Yes, this is if I had my way, I would have this animated by Miyazaki.
Really?
This would be perfect. So if he's listening,
You're listening? Yes.
this is your next story.
Okay, so those are books,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not all you write. This is what you wrote and just recently performed at the Campbell Theater,
Yeah.
Quadrille.
This-
We'll talk about that in detail a little bit more. But we want to hold on to that because I think there's something about this that's kind of interesting and that I found out on my own terms.
Oh, really?
Trying to do a little bit of solo performance and finding I'm really not that good of an actor, but I understood from standing up there what it's like enough to know when somebody's up there really good doing it. I understand what they're doing and how much that took to get there. And wow, to think of the idea that you've been in more than a dozen plays locally in community theater.
Yep.
Almost every stage around here.
Oh, I've been in theater since I was about 12.
Okay.
Just doing
in
basic
community
things.
theater, currently, we'll say within the last 20 years or so, Town Hall in Lafayette. Did you ever play that little black box in Mullet Creek?
Yes.
That wonderful
Yes.
little stage
Oh, it's
there.
wonderful. Absolutely.
The regional center, did you play there?
Yep,
Okay.
I've been on all 3 stages there.
All right, and the Campbell here, Benicia, you're one of
Yep.
your favorites.
I love that. I love
Embassy
Benicia.
Theater, Embassy
Embassy.
in Vallejo.
The Empress.
Empress.
I had a chance to be on that stage, but I couldn't do the show.
Empress, if you're listening, she's available.
Absolutely.
Okay, because that's her hometown theater, but also another Vallejo theater, BASP, Bay Area Stage Productions.
Yep, I did Sweetie Todd there, yes.
Who else are we missing? Anybody of that resume? Quick.
I didn't bring my resume, but it's pretty convoluted.
Yeah, and I didn't mean that literally. I meant just as terms of the string of accomplishments and the fact that you've been in various stages in casts as well, from leads to supporting roles, and
Yeah,
you've done almost all of it.
I like to be, well, I like to do everything involved with theater. I like to know that I've built sets, helped with costumes, worked backstage, been a supporting character, been a background character. I mean, it all fits together.
In community theater in particular.
Oh, yes.
And we'll get to that card in a minute. We're still at card number 1.
Oh my gosh.
Well, but this is curious because voice, you sing well, very well.
I could practice, but yes.
Yes, but I mean,
try.
it's not something you avoid, as some actors may avoid singing. You can take on a musical role.
Well, I started out in musical theater. I was singing all over the place. Now I love straight plays because it's less strain on my voice.
But the key word is voice, from an author's perspective. And what do you do to sharpen that pencil?
I basically have a conversation because
With yourself or with the character?
with the character. I have to be both characters, so
Or more.
they have to talk. Yes, I mean some of my best chapters have come with characters just sitting at a table discussing what to do next, and I went, oh, okay, they figured it out before I did.
Okay, so now that would be a book, but it also would work for a play.
Oh, yes.
Does that mean when you approach a play that you've got an organic starting point, more or less, then? Or do you go with a play, do you go in with some specific focused, if not idea, character, place, thing?
I usually do, yes. I don't like to copy anybody. And sometimes that works beautifully, sometimes directors hate me. But I like to come in with a character that will surprise people, to take a character that's well established and do it, and tweak it.
Now, are you talking about acting or are you talking about writing?
Oh,
just now?
both.
Both.
Yeah, I did a production. I did a production of The Matchmaker several years ago, and I was reading the script, and of course, when you think of Dolly Levi, you think brash New Yorker, mile-a-minute talker, and I thought, because the last thing I am is a Barbra Streisand impersonator, so I thought, what would I do? What kind of character do I see? And I read it and said, oh my gosh, she's Irish. Because her line, Dolly Levi, born Gallagher. I went, of course she's Irish. And so I chose an Irish accent.
So that's the key to getting started. And it was a voice key, wasn't it?
Oh yes, and the director hated it.
Oh.
He hated it so much, but the thing is, he didn't tell me that he hated it. And I kept on asking him, what do you want me to do different? But he would never tell me. So I stuck with what I wanted to do.
Because maybe he didn't know, or?
Well,
you don't know?
I don't really know.
Yeah, okay.
I don't really know,
All
but
right.
I was very proud of what I did. In fact, I got a lot of compliments from the audience. They said for the first time they heard the lines and they understood what they meant because they were said in a different way. And I said, thank you very much.
Yes, because the voice is the tool, isn't it? Of the actor, that is. But it's not the only tool. Let's just jump cards over here.
We're jumping cards, oh my gosh.
So Meisner or the method, do you come down on either one of those sides in terms of the listening actor or the one who's just coming right straight out of
It depends on the play.
Okay.
If usually I'm very method. Usually I have a completely different play running through my head. You have to be the character. You have to listen as the character.
To listen, yes, and that's Meisner. And it's on, you were in film as well, so there's two kinds of ways of doing that kind of acting, right? You can do something in a close-up in a film that indicates a more refined level of information listening.
Those are very, very subtle. When I first was on camera, I was told, pull back. You're like two musical theaters. Like, you're right, I'm sorry. I mean, just the slightest raise of an eyebrow is enough.
You're talking about the idea of the concept of projecting on stage, but you don't have to do it in a studio. But then how do you whisper on stage? You can whisper to the camera, but when you whisper on stage, you've got to...
Oh, it's enunciation.
Oh,
it's all about the consonants, yeah. I mean, I started out doing musical theater in the area, and it was microphone, microphone, microphone. And then I did some shows with the Lamplighters in the city, and they do not use microphones.
So project.
And it was wonderful.
Oh, really? Good.
It was absolutely wonderful. And I learned a great
They heard
deal
on the
about
street.
enunciation and projection there.
And you just learned that on your feet in that room.
Pretty much all you...
Yeah,
I think
everything... You didn't go to theater school.
I did not go to theater school, although I spent a marvelous 1,000 years at DVC,
Oh, okay.
That was a wonderful, wonderful place to be when I was there. Yeah.
And creative people and a good theater department. And
excellent theater department.
Good film people over there, too.
Yeah, and you do things at college theater that you never do anywhere else. That's absolutely wonderful.
Because there is an experimental attitude.
Aspect to it, absolutely.
Yes. You've never wanted to direct, though, have you?
Oh, yes.
You have? Stage?
Yes, I've directed one of my original plays. It was a musical. I co-directed it.
Okay.
And I learned enough to know that I'm not a good co-director because my ideas are very strong.
You have yet to really get behind something and just push it through that you directed?
I've done I've done small scenes here and there.
Okay.
Enough to know that I I can direct.
Okay, let's talk about the stage director making a close-up.
Mm-hmm.
And we know how that happens without really thinking about it, but we can't, because the audience is sitting wherever it sits, we can't make them a camera.
Mm.
So we make them a camera by generally on a monologue downstage, right, with the all upstage people just frozen in place, looking directly at that person who's talking, saying, "This is where the tension is supposed to be. I'm not even going to breathe here," almost, right? I mean, isn't that pretty much how it has to work on stage versus you just jam the camera in the guy's face?
You're on, yeah. Exactly. Well, it depending on the scene, you can focus an audience's attention anywhere on stage.
And you have light and you have sound in ways that film doesn't necessarily have. It's too boxed in by its proscenium, I guess. Let's see, okay, well, we talked about all these theaters. We didn't say Butterfield 8, did we, or not?
Oh, gosh, Butterfield 8.
What do you want to say about them?
Oh, you cannot say enough about Butterfield 8. That was, if ever there was a perfect group of people in one building at one time, it was Butterfield 8.
And then that space was destroyed for a condo or something.
It was it was this little storefront in Concord. In fact, that storefront is still there. I don't know what's there. But yes. Oh, good. In fact, one of the 3 directors I trust completely, John Butterfield. I mean, there is such a wonderful trust there. He trusts everyone he works with, and you can take chances.
Oh, good.
You can experiment, and everyone's there to experiment with you. And
that goes through the performance.
Completely. In fact, I think I surprised him one day when we were doing a production of Hamlet, done in the steampunk style. It was wonderful. Oh, that cast was amazing. And I asked him if I was Rosencrantz, but I was also the gravedigger's assistant.
Oh, okay.
Which is basically there for, the comic foil for the first gravedigger.
Yeah.
And I asked him at the first read through, could I play the second gravedigger as a robot? And he gave me this look like, we can try that. It's like, okay. And so I did. And that scene was very, very fun because I had this little, well, it lent itself to the whole steampunk aspect, but I had this little, I think I got it off eBay, this little sort of erector set wind-up thing that would just gears and wind up in gear, and I attached it to my weird sort of costume. And so I played her like a robot.
With the moves and everything.
And, oh, well, yes. And the thing was, this little sort of wind-up pack would just wind down, tick, 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 and sometimes it would stop. And whenever it stopped, I had to stop.
I see.
And the gravedigger had to climb out of the grave, go and wind me back up. Yes, it was utterly random.
Wow.
So I had to kind of gauge when it was stopping and kind of stop with it. So.